Good afternoon, everyone. We're Team Tacuba, and we're really excited to present to you Parche con propósito. Parche is a Colombian slang meaning to get together with a group of friends. Parche con propósito is to get together with a group of friends and do good. This aligns wonderfully with our proposition today, as we believe that relying on partnerships will help launch international expansion for Ocean Soul. My name is Sophia Arascu, and I'm joined with Dominica DeLeo, Earl Kelly, and Evan Wu. Today we'll begin with an overview on Ocean Soul's international expansion. We'll then go into our entry strategy, following that with some cultural alignment, and ending with finances. I'll pass it over to Earl to begin.
Thank you, Sophia. So, as we know, three key opportunities presented themselves to Ocean Soul within the Latin America segment. The first is Guatemala. Being the lowest cost option of the three, it provides a great opportunity for Ocean Soul to enter the market. However, it has a 59% poverty rate, meaning that the willingness to pay among consumers within Guatemala is likely low, and they have a weak infrastructure setup, meaning that actually the logistics of Ocean Soul's operations may be difficult to bring about. Next is Colombia, with a valuation of $42.3 billion in their e-commerce section, the highest of the three countries, and a strong cultural and logistical alignment with Ocean Soul. Finally is Brazil, with the highest GDP of the three countries at around $10,000, and a very strong logistical background. However, they are the highest in startup costs, and they have a complex regulatory background, meaning that for Ocean Soul to enter that market, it would provide some initial startup difficulties. And so, as Sophia mentioned earlier, we think the best opportunity to enter is the Colombian market. Now, our entry strategy focuses on Colombia as a whole, but as we were researching, we found a key city to land operations, and that city is Medellin, Colombia. It's the second most populated city within the Colombian market, and is a wonderfully vibrant and youthful city. Now, there are three key pillars why we think operations should land here. The first is a community that cares. Now, 94% of Colombians think that climate change affects their everyday life. And 90.2% of their middle class have bought eco-friendly products within the last year. So not only is the Colombian market aware of the effects of climate change on their everyday life, but they're willing to purchase something that directly affects that as well. And as we know, these are Colombian statistics, right? But in the city of Medellin itself, where we want to land our operations, around 40 to 46% of Colombia's middle class is located within its two major cities of Bogota and Medellin. So we're meeting the customer base right where it is, but we're not afraid to take the market by storm as well. The second pillar is their art culture impact. Now, Colombia is a vibrant art culture, specifically in Medellin itself, and they have eco-friendly art from indigenous groups throughout the country. They also, in the city of Medellin, have a community called Competiton. Now, this used to be the most dangerous place in the world. It was home to the murder capital, right, when Pablo Escobar was in his reign in Colombia. However, this community decided enough was enough. They spoke out against violence through art forms, like graffiti, like music, and other art forms, and they saw social reform through that. The point is that they enjoy art as a culture, but they also want to see art change who they are and how it affects their everyday lives. This is perfect for a company like Ocean Soul, looking to engage not only in the art space, but in the reform space. The final pillar is their growing business climate. Medellin alone in 2024 received $150 million in foreign direct investment. They also brought in 1.2 million tourists, which is a 26% increase year over year, and they account for 22% of the total e-commerce of Colombia, which we know is valued at $42 billion. As you can see, the population has grown steadily over the years, hinting again to that growing business climate. As more opportunities arise within that community, they welcome in more and more, and greatly enough, the unemployment rate has decreased as their population has increased, suggesting that jobs continue to grow in the area. This makes Medellin and Colombia as a whole a wonderful landing spot for Ocean Soul as they look to internationally expand. And so I'm going to pass it to my colleague Evan here to introduce our entry strategy within the market.
Thanks, Earl. So Parche, what does it mean? It means to get together to do something with your friends. And that's how we've designed our entry strategy here in Colombia. So our strategy involves sourcing the material from the coastal city of Cartagena and bringing it down to the artistic city of Medellin for production. And we've selected partners to assist us with this in every step along the way. So on the collection side, as I said, we selected Cartagena. Cartagena is a thriving coastal city at the northern end of Colombia with a lot of business and rising tourism. The other thing that Cartagena has, along with every other coastal city in Colombia, is a waste management issue. As discussed in the case, 65% of waste in cities on the coast in Colombia end up in the ocean. And this obviously does not lend itself well to a city that's trying to increase its tourism presence. So Cartagena has a vested interest in solving their waste management problem, and we believe that we can offer that. Now, our partner for this part of the process, we selected EcoPetrol. And while this may seem like an unconventional pick, we'll explain why we think they'd be a perfect fit. EcoPetrol is a Colombian energy provider. They're a market leader in Colombia, and they have a major refinery in Cartagena. The other thing they've done is they've demonstrated a commitment to ESG through $600 million per year allocation in their budget towards environmental initiatives. We believe that we offer a really unique opportunity for them to showcase this commitment to both their community and sustainability goals by partnering with us to clean up the beaches in Cartagena. And this is a win-win situation. They get to showcase their commitment in a very public, low-cost way relative to their very large budget. And we get a discount, and we get someone who really knows the area well and knows the community well to help source our materials. Moving on to transportation. So one of the tougher parts of our strategy here would be moving the material from Cartagena to Medellin. And to this end, we've selected a logistics partner in Coordinadora. Now, Coordinadora offers trucking services throughout Colombia, and they also happen to be the logistics partner for PCS, another partner that we talk about in the next slide. But the other thing they've done that makes us believe they'd be a good fit is they've demonstrated their commitment to sustainability. We believe this partnership can be a mutually beneficial partnership. As I said earlier, transportation can be difficult between Colombian cities, even ones that appear relatively close on the map. However, Ocean Soul doesn't need to figure this out on their own. And by partnering with Coordinadora, we can leverage their existing infrastructure. One thing to consider about the port in Cartagena is that it's primarily an export-oriented port. So this means that when trucks from companies like Coordinadora are going from cities like Medellin to Cartagena full, they might be returning less full than they arrived. And this presents a great opportunity for us to leverage backhauling, putting our product onto trucks that maybe have extra room after making the journey to Cartagena. We believe, again, that this is a win-win opportunity. We get to move our product at a lower cost than we typically would have, and we don't have to navigate these logistical challenges on our own. Coordinadora gets to promote themselves as a crucial link in the process of turning garbage on the beaches to a product that people enjoy. Finally, for production and distribution, we believe that production, the solution here is simple. We want to let local artists drive the product. Medellin already has a thriving art culture, and we want to embrace that. So to do that, we're going to employ local and indigenous artists and give them the freedom to express their unique culture in the product through the coloring they pick and just the way the product looks and functions. In terms of distribution, we've selected a partner in the Promotora de Comercio Social, or the PCS, and they're a nonprofit that helps small businesses get off the ground. Where this will really help us is that they have access to a large sales network all throughout Colombia that, as a small business, you wouldn't normally have access to in your first couple of years. Once we reach the scale to work with these retailers and distributors ourselves, PCS will take their hands off, and Ocean Soul will maintain full control of the business.
Whenever a company enters an international market, one of the most important things is making sure that they align their values with that country's customs and cultures. The first way that we recommend that Ocean Soul does this is by partnering with local communities of artists. For example, Casa Tres Patios, which is a community in Medellin of over 100 artists. The next thing we want to do is we want to highlight with our sculptures the diverse biodiversity of Colombia, specifically Medellin. One way we are going to do this is by having sculptures of the pink Virgo dolphin, as well as sculptures of their national animal, which is the Andean condor. When entering a new market, it is also very important to have a positive impact to listen to what that country needs. For example, Colombia is one of the countries with one of the biggest number of individuals who are displaced internally. For example, right now they have roughly 7 million individuals who are displaced. What we want to do as Ocean Soul is to use the scraps from our sculptures in a way to put them into mattresses for these shelters, and to also create job opportunities and to pay these individuals 1,167 Colombian pesos for each kilogram of debris that they pick up from the beach, which is similar to what they are paying the workers in Kenya at this moment. Our slogan is Ponche con Proposito. We want to focus on partnerships. And as you can see right now, Ocean Soul is doing partnerships all across the world. For example, they have a partnership with Chloe, which is a French luxury fashion house. When coming into the Colombian market, we believe that Ocean Soul should do the same exact thing and have a partnership with Bionica, which is a luxury Colombian brand, to increase brand awareness.
Taking a look at the finances, given the Parche con Propósito idea, we believe that we can cut some costs with marketing, logistics, and distribution. The table here shows some of those changes, as well as increased revenue due to partnerships with iconic Colombian brands like Bionica. With this, our break-even would be year 7 rather than year 10, which allows for Ocean Soul to create a better entry. Colombia is filled with many grants that are perfect for sustainable organizations. For example, the Concora Alliance allows for organizations that are sustainable, that are aligned with SDGs, to have grants of up to $50,000, which would help with any initial costs. Other than that, the regulatory environment in Colombia is particularly attractive for our company. Because Colombian law 1715 states that sustainable companies can get up to 50% tax deductible, as well as accelerated depreciation, we can break even earlier than year 7. Colombia also has favorable trade agreements with the US, which would allow us to bring our goods into our home base factory in Florida for no taxes and also without administrative expenses. And lastly, if Ocean Soul needed a loan during their time in Colombia, there's plenty of green financing available. Banco Colombia, which is Colombia's national bank, offers loans for a 1% to 2% interest benefit rather than other companies that aren't sustainable.
Parche con Propósito. To get together with friends and make an impact. It's a distinctly Colombian phrase, but also one that drives at the heart of what Ocean Soul's mission is. Whether that be in the streets of Kenya or in the streets of Medellin, Colombia. By using our entry strategy into a new international market, Ocean Soul can drive a positive impact both on the shores of Cartagena and in their communities. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to start us off, I guess. Well, first of all, good job, everybody.
Thank you.
I just have a couple of questions. Number one is, I'll just start with one of my peers here have an opportunity. So I love the approach that you took with this market and the cost savings ideas. Tell me about maybe Ocean Soul's current cost issues and how you might be able to help address that. I didn't feel like it was addressed in the presentation.
So just to clarify, you mean specifically within Kenya?
Yes,
Their operations
doing the existing operations.
So, I would say the case didn't specifically focus on what their operations are in Kenya. So we do have less research within that area. But I will say, when entering a new market like Colombia, there are a lot of transportation and things like that costs. So they have a very strong logistical background within Kenya itself. But entering a new market comes with the new complexities of that. So I don't know if you have anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the proposed finances that was given to us, because of our strategy to partner with other companies, especially companies who are looking to support us via their ESG or their sustainable charity, we've decided that it is very practical for us to kind of be able to save some of those costs that we would initially anticipate with marketing, right? Because if a company like EcoPetrol is looking to do something good, they would want to market it to the public themselves as well. So that's kind of where we see some of the cost changes.
Hello, yeah. Yeah, excellent job, really excellent. This is my first time judging this competition, and I wasn't sure what to expect. I knew it'd be good, but that was amazing good. So nice job. I do have some questions, and my questions focus a little bit more around the selection of Columbia, and I have a few, but I'll ask one and then we'll share. Okay, so I've been to Columbia a few times. I did business down there. I taught there actually this past summer. And ironically, I went to Medellin for the first time. So what a great city. I recommend it to anybody if you're in that area. But one issue is, there are two coasts for Colombia. There's the Pacific coast and the Caribbean. And you guys picked Cartagena, which I've also been to when I taught down there like 5 years ago. So another beautiful city. But I was wondering if there's any data or any information you have, because the main Pacific port is Buenaventura, and it's a lot closer to Medellin. And you talked about, transportation. You have a partner, and maybe you don't have to deadhead the trucks back, so that's really smart. But was there any analysis on Pacific coastline versus Caribbean?
Yeah, so one of the big factors that went into picking Cartagena as the city for us to source our materials was the presence of EcoPetrol there. We think that EcoPetrol could be a really good partner given the size and scale at which they operate with in Colombia, and their renewed commitment to making an impact through their hefty ESG budget. So given EcoPetrol's heavy investment in Cartagena and their heavy involvement in the community, we thought that was a good pick for our product to be sourced. The tourism is increasing in Cartagena, and they also have, like you said, there's a larger port in other cities, but Cartagena does have their port, and it's primarily an export-oriented port. So we think that, this is still a great opportunity for us to operate in Cartagena, and, we have a great partner in Cartagena that we think we could work with.
Great. Once again, I'll echo the feelings here. I think great job. It's very well thought through in terms of understanding the culture and what it means, for friends to come together and do good. I think that's something we can all get behind. So my question is more similar to what Carlton asked here. Is we talked about producing or making the products in a different city. So what went in your thought process of why not make it where you collect? So just wanted to hear your thoughts on that.
Yes, definitely. So in Medellin has this vibrant artistic community. So most of the artists are in Medellin. So that's why we chose to go there. And like we said, there's a lot of partnerships of communities of artists too in Medellin, which is really like an interesting part that we kind of saw. Like I said previously, we have Casa Tres Patios, which is a community of over 100 artists that all come together to make art. And so by partnering with all of this vibrant art community in Medellin, we thought it would be it's kind of the art capital of Colombia. So we believe that we find the most local artists there in Medellin.
So my question is about the financing. I'm a banker, so can you elaborate on the 1% to 2% discount for the green initiative?
Yes. So there's plenty of green financing available because Colombia is really trying to look into more sustainable practices given its extreme amount of waste in its oceans. And so Colombia's national bank, which is Banco Colombia, offers a 1% to 2% interest rate, differential between companies that aren't sustainable. That is a financing option if we would ever need a loan in the future, given we plan to stay in Colombia for a long time. So who knows if there's another expansion opportunity, we can definitely get some capital from a bank like that.
So follow-up question to that, thank you for the answer. If the operations are in Kenya and then you move into Colombia, do you find that that bank will prohibit a borrower from borrowing money even though they're not domiciled in that country?
Yeah, so the way we see it, we are establishing a new a new location internationally into Colombia. And the way Ocean Soul's current business model is that they have different organizations for each place that they're based in. So there's Ocean Soul Incorporated in the United States, Ocean Soul Limited in Kenya, etc. And so we think that if we created a new company or partnership, we would be able to secure those loans and financing.
Thank you.
All right, so following up some of my geography questions a bit. So I understood from a bit of your presentation and also the answer to my first question, this word exports keeps coming up, and you guys mentioned Florida and whatever. Is it your intent, or do you feel like it's possible or probable that the production of these art pieces would actually be greater than the amount demanded in Colombia, and you would be actually using Colombia as an export market for the U.S. or other countries? Did I get that right? Or can you expand on that, please?
Yeah, I think there's absolutely a possibility of that, considering Ocean Soul already is operating in places like the U.S. and like Kenya. I don't think that's our initial goal. I think our initial goal is to focus on the Colombian market as through our marketing efforts and partnerships. That's where our strength is going to be. But as you saw, they do have a massive e-commerce segment, and I think I doubt that 42.3 billion is solely in Colombia, right? So I'm sure they're exporting to some degree in that. I don't have the numbers exactly, but if they were to operate in that space, we would certainly utilize e-commerce, and that leads to potential exporting.
All right, so my question is more around products. So I know we didn't go into too much detail about the kinds of products that you'd be creating, but you did talk about competition and big companies over there who are producing or are doing similar sustainability efforts, but in a more luxury scale, right? So, and I think when we looked at the case in Kenya, they were more around creating, smaller products that are more mass, applicable, I guess, and some sculptures in terms of, display and things like that. So where do you all see the range of your products to be? And how do you think you would, again, marketing through partnerships is great, but if you're trying to reach that mass market, then what are you thinking about? How do you get your word out? How do you tell your products better than what's out there?
Yeah, definitely. So I think we want to do a wide range. So anything from local retail, so setting up local shops in Medellin and other, so starting in Medellin and then expanding to other main areas of Colombia. And then also going all the way up to big institutions, so big art installations. So as you mentioned, they have the large sculptures of giraffes and things like that. So we'd love to partner with zoos, universities to kind of have those large sculptures as well. But our main focus is going to be the retail. So that's our main focus right now. Medellin is also one of the big touristy cities in Colombia. So that's also somewhere that we really want to focus in as well. Although we will be selling to the rest of Colombia as well. Just our main production is going to be in Medellin due to the number of artists there. But yes, we want to do everything from small little keychain trinkets to big, art installations in a university.
And Sophia and I actually have also visited Medellin this summer, so I don't know if we were there at the same time, but probably not, but we didn't see it. So, but yeah, we saw plenty of space within Medellin itself to have those installations that Dominica just spoke to, whether that be at universities like AFIT, which we visited, and is a wonderful outdoor campus with lots of space to do that, or whether it be just that consumer base with those smaller items, like that tote bag would be around 15 US, so it wouldn't be an expensive cost.
It's a fantastic conversation. I think we're out of time. Maybe one more question.
Can I ask one more? Okay, yeah. So mine's a finance question, and that is, I think you said 1,100 Colombian pesos per item picked up off the beach. My quick math on that was about 25 cents. And do you have a sense on how that matches with the wages that you would have to have in Colombia? And then, since it's the last question, my other one is, how do you speed up the payback of 7 years? I think it's too long.
Yeah. So I can take the first part of the question. So that is per kilogram of item that's taken off the beach, and that's with it's equivalent of 30 cents of US per kilogram, and that's what they are doing right now in Kenya. And we just kind of did the equivalent into into Colombian pesos, so it's per kilogram, which makes it a little more like a living wage as well.
Yeah, that's why my question is, how does it match with Colombia? Because I know you had it matching with Kenya. You know?
Yeah, so in Colombia, it's 1,167 pesos, which is part of their like current. If we do the math out, it would be a current like minimum wage.
And then in terms of the break even, can we go to the next? No. Beautiful. Okay, so these are just some finances that we had built out a little bit further. You can see here, this is essentially what was given to us originally, except we have some number changes just due to our partnerships. Like I said, the marketing, the branding, the logistic costs would all be a little bit different if you're relying on the partnerships that we had mentioned earlier. In terms of changing the break-even year, like I mentioned, the laws in Colombia are very agreeable with sustainable businesses, and so you do have that potential tax deduction eventually, as well as accelerated depreciation on any kind of equipment, and that would obviously help our bottom line significantly. And so we're looking to see, we're hoping that we can break even a few years before year 7.
So we can't do any more questions, but you guys have like just feedback or anything you want to give us?
So again, great job, everybody. My only comment was 2022 was a rough year, significant loss, and I would have, although I thought you did an excellent job in terms of your market analysis in Colombia and so forth. I agree with you, by the way, of those 3 markets. However, this business has been around for 25 years, and there are some issues with the underlying business that I was hoping that you guys might be able to expand a little bit. I think that you casually address that with the expansion to Colombia and how you can propose costs. But if I was a lender to this company, I would say, what happened in 22 and how are you going to fix this?
Thank you.
All right. Again, I echo the quality and professionalism that you guys exhibited. And I teach sales, and I always say, in sales, at any point in the presentation, you're going to have to do the dance. Okay, and so you guys just did the dance. You did a great job. Okay, fielding questions is tough, and you guys crushed that. But I similarly have some challenges financially with the model that you have, because I think that, and I was in startups about half my career, and startups do the less sexy, kind of blocking and tackling, stuff. So I think if you're going to be in Cartagena, then you're going to produce in Cartagena. If you're going to be in Buenaventura, Colombia is like one big mountain. Bogota is, you get nosebleeds when you visit Bogota, So, and Medellin is at 5,000 feet, as you guys know. So there's a lot of mountain roads. It's a long drive, car wrecks. Nobody drives in Colombia except people, from Colombia. So I think you would locate your production near the coast. And then once it gets big, like all startups, you move it and probably move it closer to who's going to buy, which is Medellin and Bogota, obviously. But I think that's a miss on your thing. Otherwise, unbelievable. Great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think I don't have anything much to add. Definitely closer attention to financials, trying to get out of 2022 as Bill pointed out here. I'm all about the product, right? What is it that you're building and how would you want to price it? Because that will make a big difference in everything that you're doing, right? Retail is tough business, and depending on tourism for retail is a tougher business. So when you think about what products you're creating and how do you create that feel for, hey, it's benefiting the artists, but it's also, adding to your bottom line is something that you may want to think about, right? Because when you're thinking about mass production, you're going to need a much bigger staff, and all of that then adds up. But my first question was about co-locating your production and your source anyway. So yeah, I think that's something you should think about.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.